Welcome all you lovely people to another r/I don't work here lady video. Our first story of the day is by Acceptable Ear 4054. No lady, not mall cop, actual cop. Okay, so slightly disingenuous title as I'm English and we don't have mall cops, just regular security guards. In a former life, a few years ago now, I was a police officer here in good old England. I moved from a team dealing with action-packed 999 calls, speeding around in old Ford Focuses, or is that Focus I, and dealing with interesting things, to working in a team that supported a large shopping complex. Shoplifting, antisocial behavior, real hard-hitting stuff. The uniform was a white shirt, black tie, and if I was out and about, a stab vest over the top, with one of the big pointy hats too. If I was on break though, I'd just put my normal jacket on to cover my shoulder numbers. This was mainly for personal security, so to a casual observer, I was just in a bloke with a white shirt and black tie. Cue the moment. I'd just finished dealing with the paperwork from a shoplifting and had a hankering for a sandwich. I locked my vest and hat away but left my belt of tools, can of spray, cuffs and a metal stick, England again, on. I popped a plain black jacket over the top and ventured into the shopping complex in search of a footlong. Sandwich specified and acquired, I paid the well-known outlet and ambled to a seating area to mind my own business and chow down. Probably no less than 5 minutes later, I clock a woman, the usual type, attempting to buy a sandwich. Now from her big arm gestures, I skillfully deduced she wasn't happy. That's not a crime, so back to my sandwich I went. Until, of course, the voices became raised and a hand was slammed on the counter. I tucked the remnants of my sandwich in the bin and ambled over to see what the commotion was. Now, working in the team I was a known face in the center, and I enjoy a long sandwich. So the staff knew me and my job, so they relaxed a little, which really irritated the woman. I quickly realized they didn't have the filling she wanted, and she was refusing to take no for an answer. I say, "Is everything all right here?" The woman turns and eyes me over. Now, I'm in my early 20s at the time, so she makes me for a security guard. She says, "Freak's sake, I don't need security. This little crap won't make my freaking sandwich." I say, "Okay, firstly, you need to stop swearing. Secondly, I'm a level up from security." She didn't like this. She said, "Oh, piss off, I just want my sandwich." She ignores me and goes back to banging her hand on the desk and gesturing wildly at the team behind the counter. I say, "You need to stop that." She rounds on me again. She says, "I said piss off. I know the management here, so freak off back to standing around outside Debenhams or I'll get you sacked." I say, "I don't care. I'm warning you that you need to stop swearing. It's a public order offense." She says, "Or what? I just want my freaking sandwich, not some jumped up plastic policeman interfering. Freak off." I say, "Stop swearing, you're causing a scene, and stop hitting that counter or you'll be arrested." She says, "Don't freaking tell me what to do. You think you're Billy Big Balls, just a wannabe cop. You can't arrest me. Get me your boss now too." She was slamming her palms on the sneeze guard with each word, and I think I had been patient enough at that point, so I unzipped my jacket to reveal I am in fact a uniformed police constable. Her eyes widen as she sees the cuffs on my belt. I say, "Nope. I'm arresting you under Section 5 of the Public Order Act. The arrest is necessary to prevent injury to others and damage to property. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defense, etc." Now, I had no intention of cuffing her. I was twice her size, so not necessary. Instead, I steered her, spluttering, to a table and sat her down as I called for a car to pick us up. After another 30 minutes of her refusing to believe she'd done anything wrong, I eventually gave her a penalty notice to dispose of the matter. So her nun sandwich swearfest ended up costing her 80 British pounds instead. If there was a law wherever you were to enable cops to arrest combative Karens like this, would you be in support of it? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Handle Bartender. You're one of them immigrants. Quick one here, just heard this from my wife, who just got back home from a popular hardware store which rhymes with Dome Repo. Also, quick background, my wife is a New Zealand expat with a fairly strong Maori bloodline. To the casual Texan, she might look like she's from south of the border. Hearing her speak, the average person might think she had an Australian, or worst case, a British English accent. Being from New Zealand, she had zero inhibitions about using colorful language as need be. Scene: my wife is loading 4 bags of mulch onto a cart. An entitled woman suddenly appears. "I need you to load some of those onto my cart." Wife says, "I don't work here." Entitled woman says, "I don't care, you people do this all the time." "What people?" "Immigrants." Wife says, "Freak off." The entitled woman, reeling and gasping, says, "I could have you fired." My wife didn't stick around. She headed off with her trolley of mulch, paid, and headed home. No dramas. I think in this situation, it's just good that it ended up being one of those cases where when you use some kind of colorful language or really say anything to assert yourself towards these Karens, it was one of those situations where they actually were shocked or reeled and gasped, and you could just walk away. A lot of these stories I read, the people try to walk away and the Karens will grab them, spin them around, get in front of them, act like you hit them and go, "Oh my god, I've been assaulted," and then the cameras bust them. A simple F you and walking away is about as good as it can get. This next story is by Black Eden without heck, not an IT guy, but a nerd that loves Linux. So my mother works in a physics laboratory. It means that I'm really involved in science, but specifically in computers. And I love to help these kinds of places because in science, the money is not enough and hiring a cleaning company is expensive. This happened like 1 month ago, when the laboratory reactivated its activities and COVID was no longer a problem. I was helping with the hard jobs, cleaning, taking out the trash, yada yada. So when I was carrying a broken screen to the garbage, I noticed that a lot of investigators were trying to set up a server using Linux. For your information, Linux is very common in servers because it's far better than using Microsoft services. Now, they were not software engineers and using Linux was not their main skill. I go inside and tell the investigators what to do and what commands to use. When I finish helping them, I return to my duties as a cleaning volunteer. 30 minutes later, there was a lady with a coat looking for me in the IT department. I can only remember her face when she discovered that a cleaning volunteer set up the server. It was pure shame and envy. Guess her ego was really fragile? "No, I can do it. You're just a janitor." 15 minutes later, another investigator was looking for me in IT. Again, he was surprised, but he didn't mind, and just asked me to deploy something. I did, and I swear that the rage of that investigator was going higher and higher. "You finished? Now leave." People used to say thanks, but okay. I just have a question. Why don't they ask for someone in the IT department? I'm really hoping that last bit was OP talking to the investigator. Just completely shut them down after they were being so rude to OP for no reason. Alright, I'll get out of my hair. I'm just saying, they went looking for me, not you, or anybody else in the IT department. Our next story is by I Have a Bad Memory. Give off that knowing aura, I guess. Long as heck post with 2 stories. Saw this thread and felt right at home. This was the story of my life. Legit, since I was 15, people have thought I've worked at various stores and restaurants and I've never been sure why. The funniest times have been when I'm walking around in my motorcycle jacket, pants, and boots. Protective is greater than fashion and comfort, while holding a basket. And people interrupt me when I'm deciding on which shampoo to buy to ask me where something is. Now, most of the time, I just let people know, "Sorry, I actually don't work here, but you could try the X section," or joke that I hate having to work a shift in my motorcycle gear at a place I don't actually work. Typically, people are embarrassed and laugh and all is well. Sometimes, though. Story 1. I was power walking through a Target in my full motorcycle getup with helmet in hand. 2. Get X item and get the freak out. I suddenly hear a woman saying very loudly, "Excuse me, I'm trying to ask you a question and you just keep walking away from me." Now this is funny, so I turn around to watch, like a good bystander at someone else's misfortune, and she storms up to me, sticks her finger in my face and threatens to talk to my manager. I stop to stare at her with very pointed blinks and motion to my gear, while she's raving about how rude of an employee I am. At this point, an actual Target employee comes up to the woman to help her, and she turns on the employee. Finally, when the poor employee can get a word in, she says, "Ma'am, she doesn't work here. That's not our uniform." The woman turns back and looks at my gear and asks why I was walking that way if I didn't work there, and why didn't I tell her? I laughed, apologized to the employee as she now had to deal with a pissed off customer, and completed my quest without further incident, save for apologies from the actual store employees. Story 2 was walking back to my table in a restaurant in jeans and a shirt at some place with all black uniforms, when I heard a table near mine calling for their server. I had to walk past, and someone at the table sticks their arms out and goes to grab my hand, saying he'd been calling me and they wanted their bill. Told him kindly that he shouldn't grab people and kindly let go. He demands his bill. I've worked in restaurants before, so I told him I'm not his server and I don't work there, but they will be over in a bit, and sat down at my table. The guy just got up and went to the host stand, and his friends apologized to me and offered to pay for my meal. Anyhow, this has happened in about 70% of the stores I go to, so I'm used to it. Ish. I've asked a couple of people why they thought I worked at a store when I'm not wearing the uniform, and the responses have been: 1. You looked like you knew where you were going. 2. You were holding a basket. 3. You looked confident. 4. You put that item back. 5. I don't know, you just seemed like you worked here. Oh, the powers of observations. I'm saving this form to post my next mishap. The frequency OP describes them getting confused as an employee reads like the world's worst superpower or something. You have an otherworldly ability to be recognized as an employee at places you're clearly not an employee at. Your superhero name is Confused Employee Woman. Rolls right off the tongue. And our final story of the day is by Ape Squad. Complain about me on my last day? Go for it. So it's my last day at my most recent restaurant job. Now, the restaurant I work in requires all customers to wear masks when they're not at the table. I try to explain that it comes from a corporate level and I have no say in the matter. But I end up dealing with a lot of angry people. I'm a host and a large party comes in. I tell the party that everyone needs to wear masks until they get to the table. A younger pregnant lady tells me she's not required because she's pregnant and has a medical exemption. I explain that our restaurant does not recognize medical exemptions, and she will be required to wear one just until she gets to the table. The whole group gives me the usual snark, legal arguments, conspiracy theories, etc. But eventually, they all put on their masks and are seated. Well, about an hour later, the party is leaving. The pregnant woman comes back to the host stand. She thanks us for excellent service and asks me, in a tone that was polite but laced with contempt, what my name is. Now, it's my last day at this restaurant. The next day, I'll be in my pajamas, sipping coffee and working from home without a care in the world. With my mask hiding my grin, I tell her my name proudly. My IRL name is unique and very easy to misspell. So I spell it out for her letter by letter and make sure she knows it right. I'm the only one with my name in the whole restaurant. In a tone that says, "I'm gonna get you in so much trouble," she says, "Thank you," and leaves. All my coworkers joke about it being my last day and how much trouble I'm not going to be in as soon as she calls to complain and finds out I no longer work there. I'm keeping up with Yelp and Google reviews to see if my name pops up, but nothing yet. That might be a blessing in disguise for whatever poor manager has to deal with that. You know what? You're right, miss. I'm going to just fire them right away. And then just hang up the call. The Karen wouldn't really need to know, and either way, OP isn't going to be working there anymore. Sounds like a little bit of a win-win. And our final story of the day is by Rain of Fire. Can't help with taxes, but we can sell you wine. I used to work for a winery in California back in 2004 to 2006. Our 800 number was very similar to both the State of Connecticut Tax Division and Dell Canada French Tech Support. We'd occasionally get people who misstyled asking about their tax forms or angry Quebec residents screaming in French, but it was really no big deal. We figured it out, laughed about it, found the right numbers, and would give them to people when they called. Most people would laugh, apologize, and that was that. One year, we started getting a lot of calls for Connecticut Tax Division. I got concerned when one person said that they received a tax form and our number was listed on the form. I looked and sure enough, someone in the tax office had put our 800 number on the form. We called the tax office, but they were basically, "Oh well," so we just kept referring people to the right number. Again, most were cool until the old man called. I answered the phone. "Thank you for calling our winery. How can I help you?"
I need help filling out this tax form.
"Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You want the Connecticut tax office. You've called a winery in California."
Okay, so transfer me.
"Sir, I can't transfer you. I'm at our winery in California."
I don't care if you're on vacation. Transfer me to someone else.
"No, sir, you called our winery in California, not the tax office."
Yeah?
"So I can give you the right number."
Just transfer me.
"Sir, I can't."
I'm tired of this. I want to talk to a supervisor.
"Sir, again, we are not the tax office. We are our winery in California. The tax office printed our number in error on their forms. I can give you their number, but no one here can help you because we are a winery, not the tax office."
Okay.
"Okay, so you'd like that number?"
And then you'll transfer me?
It went on like that for 5 more minutes until he finally realized what I was saying. He did apologize for wasting my time, said he'd call us back to order wine, and hung up. The next year, Connecticut printed the right number on their tax forms, and we rarely got any calls after that. Maybe the old man came from the era of operators or something, back when transferring you to an entirely different number was something you could just have happen. Either that or somehow this guy literally thought a winery in California was on the same call service as a Connecticut tax office. Either way, you kind of question what this old man was thinking. At least he apologized. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.